I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Editor-in-Chief of the Gallup poll. This is the daily briefing for Thursday, July the 19th. Every month, Gallup asks the American public, what is, in your opinion, the most important problem facing the country? Number one, Iraq, still the number one problem facing the country, according to the public. A little more than a third of Americans spontaneously say the top problem is Iraq. That's little change from earlier this year. Number two, the overall mention of anything having to do with the economy is actually down some. Just 16% of Americans in July say something about the economy is the top problem. That's down from as high as 24% last month. Point number three, despite the fact that the price of gasoline is still up there, close to, maybe a little below $3 a gallon, relatively few Americans are telling us now that the price of gas is the top problem facing the country. That's down to just 4% of spontaneous mentions. Number four, jobs and unemployment. When we ask Americans specifically about the economy and what they worry about relating to the economy, just 3% say it is jobs. Point number five, a lot of Americans concerned about health care. That's up to 14% of Americans now who say that's the top problem facing the country. That's significantly higher than we've seen it in previous months. Point number six, we're starting to see a tail off in the percent of Americans who say immigration is the nation's top problem. This is predictable. That percent went up and up and up as immigration was the focus of potential legislation in Congress. Now that that's out of the news, at least temporarily, the percent of Americans who say immigration is the top problem is down as well. Number seven, relatively few Americans tell us terrorism is the top problem facing the country. Point number eight, despite the fact that some Democratic candidates like John Edwards, for example, are emphasizing the gap between the have and the have-nots, poverty and homelessness in this country is a major campaign motif, relatively few Americans say that poverty or hunger or lack of money is the biggest problem facing the country. Point number nine, almost no Americans tell us spontaneously that global warming or the environment is the top problem facing the country. Finally, number 10, almost no Americans tell us that abortion is the top problem facing the country. That's despite the fact that a lot of people on both sides of the spectrum seem to be focusing on that as a key issue. In the big scheme of things, very, very few Americans tell us that those types of social issues, like abortion, are the biggest problems facing the country. Join us again as we focus on American public opinion and the key issues of the day. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Editor-in-Chief of the Gallup poll with Democracy on Demand.